Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the LA Unified School District STEAM Certification Awareness Meeting for the school year 2020-2021. My name is Jaspreet Sunda, and I am one of the STEAM coordinators with the Division of Instruction. I am here with Jerry Song, who's the other coordinator, STEAM coordinator for the Division of Instruction, and you will be hearing from him soon. Before we begin, I want to move on to the next slide and discuss some of tips for the webinar. Please close any applications that you have that will be using bandwidth. If you have any questions, please post your questions in the Q&A window below. We will answer as many as we can, and by the end of next week, we will have an FAQ for questions that were not answered. Feel free to take notes. Just to let you know, this webinar will be recorded and be available on the Division of Instruction STEAM website by next week, along with FAQs. To begin, the objectives for today are to learn about the STEAM certification process and to make you aware of the process along with the framework and rubric that we will be using for this school year. And now Jerry will be going over a brief introduction on why STEAM.
Good afternoon, everyone. So today we are going to be talking about STEAM certification, but throughout the time we're going to be talking about both STEAM and STEM certification, and we're going to use those terms interchangeably. So even though there are schools that are STEAM schools and STEM schools, and during our certification process, we will be looking at those schools from a slightly different lens. For today, everything that we're going to discuss will be pretty much the same for either. And so again, if we say STEAM or STEM, please understand it's the STEM certification process. And thank you. So let's look into why STEAM. Please take a minute to read this excerpt and just take a look and glance through it and read it quietly. I'll give you a minute. Okay, so let's focus on the last two lines, talking about using computational thinking to solve problems in a real-world context. STEAM brings into the classroom the real world where there are no distinct lines between subject areas. Computational thinking is the process that supports problem solving by decomposing the problem, recognizing patterns that arise, abstracting out relevant information, and finally developing algorithms that solve the problem. And please take a minute to read this quote from Darren Cameron, a STEAM education leader. STEAM education is a paradigm shift from focusing on what students need to learn to giving students the why they should learn and the way STEAM professionals think. Here, we're going to read the LA Unified STEAM vision. The vision for K-12 STEAM education in Los Angeles Unified School District is to empower school communities to integrate science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics through the process of critical thinking, communication, creativity, collaboration to foster innovation for today and for the future. Jaspreet will now share the whys for STEAM certification.
So now we're going to discuss why certification. Before we begin why certification, I would like to give you a brief history of the LA Unified certification process. In the fall of 2016, the board identified 154 STEM and STEAM schools. These schools had different programs and different understanding of what STEM and STEAM is. To bring a united message for STEAM education in LA Unified, In the spring of 2017, the Division of Instruction began to research on STEM and STEAM certification processes. In the fall of 2017, the Division of Instruction hired 2 STEAM coordinators to support STEAM-STEM instruction and to create a STEAM-STEM certification process for the entire district. In November 2017, LA Unified piloted the first version of the STEAM-STEM certification process. So why certification? The LA Unified certification process helps schools identify key qualities that can help them calibrate, refine, and validate their STEAM programs based on the framework and rubric. Why choose LA Unified certification? Currently, there is no state or national certification process. There are organizations that do sell certifications and will support schools in becoming certified through that organization. Currently, we at LA Unified are working with the state to develop a state certification process with Riverside County Office of Education. LA Unified certification process has no cost, and you're calibrating your STEAM-STEM instructional programs to schools within LA Unified School District. The STEAM-STEM certification program aligns to the district's goals. We believe that if there's 100% attendance at your school site, that will equal 100% graduation, which will cause proficiency for all students and have a parent and community engagement. And once you have parents and the community engaged in your school site, the school will be a safe school. And the idea is that the certification process will create a community of schools where students are attending schools where there is 100% graduation and everyone is engaged for the need of our students. The process. So now we'll discuss the certification timeline. The timeline differs from the past few years we had the certification process. In the past, the certification was a 1-year process. Due to the coronavirus situation, this process will be 2 years. The application window is currently open and will close on November 20th, 2020. By December 4th of 2020, local districts will have selected 5 schools that will participate in the certification process. By December 11th, 2020, local districts will notify the 5 schools that are participating and notify schools that were not selected. Beginning January 2021, schools will be working on their portfolios. STEAM learning sessions, which will be asynchronous, will be open on Schoology from January 2021 to May 2021. The purpose of these learning sessions is to provide support on the portfolio development. Throughout the development of the portfolio, you may ask for feedback from Jerry and myself. The feedback will be provided from January 21 through May 2020, the same window as the STEAM learning sessions. The submission date for the final portfolio is June 6, 2021. By August 27th of 2021, each school should receive a final score report. If your score does not meet the minimum requirements for LA Unified STEAM-STEM certification, you will have one opportunity to resubmit your portfolio with modifications in the following school year. Validation visits will occur from September 2021 through April 2022. These validation visits are for schools which have passed and met the minimum requirements for their portfolio. By May 2022, the name of the schools that have passed the certification process will be given to the board for their approval. Each school will be asked to create a facilitation team. The facilitation team must consist of an administrator, one teacher, and a member of the school's choice. This third member can be another teacher, it could be a parent, it could be anyone of the school's choice. The role of this facilitation team is to keep in constant communication with Jerry and myself and with the local district STEAM coordinators on the process and the development of the digital portfolio. They will also be the ones that will have access to the Schoology course, and one of these team members will submit the final digital link to the portfolio to Jerry and myself. LA Unified's STEAM STEM certification is a 4-year certification with an annual self-reflection and a validation visit in year 2. The annual self-reflection is just to inform the Division of Instruction STEAM coordinators and the local district coordinators on how we can support your STEAM program at the school site. The validation visit in year 2 is to provide in-person feedback and support to schools. Along with this, all certified schools will receive continuous support from local district and Division of Instruction STEAM coordinators. So now we're going to go over the framework and go a little bit deeper into the rubric. The rubric will be available soon for your viewing, and it will be posted on the Division of Instruction website, so you can you and your school teams can go in deeper. So next slide. So the framework is divided up into 6 categories, and within these 6 categories, there are elements that you will get a score between 1 and 4. The 6 categories are vision, STEAM STEM culture, infrastructure, instruction, essential skills, and partnerships. So now we're going to go a little bit deeper into each of the categories. So Jerry?
All right. So let's take a look at vision. So the school's STEAM vision should be prevalent school-wide. Students, as well as all stakeholders, should be able to not only repeat the school's vision, STEAM vision, but also demonstrate an understanding of its essence and meaning. All right, Jaspreet.
The STEAM STEM culture of a school should display a STEAM STEM mindset and a growth mindset. Some people are wondering, why do we have both? We acknowledge that in some ways they are similar, but in some ways they are also different. We want to make sure that when your students have a STEAM STEM mindset, they're problem solving, they're discussing, they're using the engineering design process. With the growth mindset piece, we want to make sure that your kids don't give up, that when they do make a mistake, that they go back and they try to understand why they made the mistake, why it occurred, and how to fix that mistake. Along with having a STEAM mindset and a growth mindset, we want to make sure our students are provided with learner agency. And this is to provide and to make sure that the kids own their learning. We want to make sure the kids are being engaged in their learning. They're taking ownership of it. We want to make sure that they're trying to problem solve. And we can't go on without a STEAM culture unless we have a family education. And I know many schools do provide family education, but this family education is particularly focused on STEAM or STEM. And we want to make sure that our parents understand what the STEAM STEM programs are at the different school sites. We want to make sure that they understand what it means to have a STEAM STEM instruction. And we want to make sure that our families know how to support their kids at home in doing well in the STEAM STEM educational environment. And along with having family education, we want to make sure we have family and community events. We want our parents to be engaged. We want our community to be engaged at the school sites. Next slide. Along with that, we have to make sure that we have an infrastructure that will promote a STEAM STEM program at your school sites. And this includes an administrator who supports the teachers and the programs at the school site. The administrator will be responsible for the resources at the lab that include labs, computer labs, science labs, maker spaces. We also want to make sure that schools have a schedule that promotes a STEAM STEM instructional program. And the schedules can be the Bell schedule, it can be a master schedule, it can be a designated STEAM time at a school site. It can also be, STEAM can be interwoven throughout the day at a school site. So it's not an isolated time period, but it's happening every single minute. Along with that, we want to make sure that all of our students have access to a STEAM STEM program. And we know if there's no professional learning or professional development for our teachers, a strong STEAM STEM program cannot happen. So we're asking that our teachers and our administrators and other school professionals be engaged in some type of learning or professional development in STEAM and STEM. Jerry?
Okay, so let's talk about STEM and STEAM instruction. STEAM instruction begins with real-world problems and inquiry-based learning that not only engages students, but also empowers them with the knowledge that they have the ability to make a positive impact in their world by solving problems in their community and beyond. The line between subjects blurs into a transdisciplinary model as subjects no longer drive the class schedule. Instead, as students encounter hurdles in solving the real-world problem, they request from the teacher lessons in math, science, social studies, and even ELA to support their endeavor in solving the problem. This creates powerful teachable moments where students no longer ask, "Why do I need to do this?" and start asking even more questions that lead to a deeper understanding of how what is being taught relates to the real world. Assessments are a significant tool in STEAM instruction, used by students as well as teachers to measure their progress towards mastery in state standards. The data from assessments should guide teachers in determining next steps and future tasks that revolve around the real-world problem at hand. So with essential skills, the 4 C's of 21st century skills: critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication, along with problem solving, data and digital literacy, and digital citizenship, are the essential skills we will be looking for in your school's STEAM certification portfolios and during our validation visits. These essential skills mimic the skills needed by STEM professionals in the real world. Developing these essential skills in students now prepares them for the real world. Jaspreet?
And the last category is partnerships. We're asking schools to develop community partnerships within businesses, organizations, within the community. And this partnership needs to be a mutual partnership. It's not only what we take from the organization, but what else can we give back to the organization or to the community through the organization. And by this, we're asking schools to have STEAM STEM learning projects through community-based projects. We want to make sure that our students understand that a STEAM STEM program is based on real-world application. And through community-based projects, we hope to see that our kids are actually improving our communities through STEAM or STEM. Next slide. Okay. So the portfolio requirements. So what we're looking for is a total of 80 points on the portfolio. And the portfolio will be artifacts and justifications based on the different elements in the different categories. We are asking for no more than a 1, 2 in each of the categories. We're asking for at least 2 elements anywhere in the portfolio to receive a 4, and no element may have received a score of a 1. So once again, the portfolio needs a minimum score of 80 points. A maximum of 1 2 is allowed in each of the different categories. So you may have 6 2s. 2 elements must receive a 4, and that can be any of the elements, and no element may receive a score of 1. Next slide. The application window is currently open and will close on November 20th of this school year. The link to the application is below. It is also posted on the LAUSD's STEAM STEM website. Next slide. We also have an LAUSD STEAM TK through 12 Schoology group. We ask you to join the Schoology group to gather more information about the STEAM STEM certification program. There's also STEAM STEM lessons developed by our collaborative for TK all the way through 12th grade, and these lessons will be growing. There are also job aids there on how to job aids for remote learning and other tools. For example, there's job aids for Zoom and how to take attendance, how to make Zoom interactive with our kids. We will also be expanding our resources to STEAM Bites, which is STEAM tips and articles and news about what's going on in STEAM education. This Schoology code will also be posted on the STEAM STEM website. Next slide. I want to say thank you for joining us today. Once again, my name is Jaspreet Sunda. My partner is Jerry Song. This is our email. And we have all the local districts STEAM coordinators on the side, and you may contact them for support as well.